morning. This is VirtualPBX dash admin training. If you're a vConsole customer, we no longer provide the live trainings for vConsole. However, you can find the recorded trainings on our website. So go to www.virtualpbx.com, mouse over support, and select vConsole support. And if you scroll down about a third of the way down, you should get the links to the training video. For Dash, you should be seeing on YouTube here the Dash login page, which says dash.virtualpbx.com. And it's going to ask for your email address, your password, and then your account name, typically your company name. If you are a customer whose account was upgraded to Dash from vConsole, this is a slightly different login than you're used to. So the email address used would have been the password recovery email address on your vConsole extension. That's what would have been used for your user login. In all cases, when you have a user created, you should have gotten an email saying, here are your account credentials to log in. If for some reason you didn't get that, then you would click on Forgot Your Info link. It's going to ask you for either your username, right, the email address, one of your company phone numbers, and or the account name. You need two of the three pieces of information. Once you do have that information, I usually just tell people to click on Remember Me, so you don't have to worry about it, and then we can go ahead and click Sign In. Now, sometimes it does take a little bit for Dash to load properly. There we go. All right, and so here we are on our dashboard. Now, if you're a new sign-up or you just recently migrated to Dash, you get actually the Dash wizard will start up, and it actually starts you off under your user information. So we'll click over here. So here you can change your email address, your password. You can change your time zone as well as your format for your time and date. You can get to the account information. I'm an admin on this account, so like I can change the account's time zone as well. Now, on a live account that you would have, you'd actually have another section here for your billing information. So like you can update your credit card information, for example. And I know they're making improvements on that, so like you can get invoices, and eventually you can also check your service plan. But so the wizard will walk you through what each of these things are, and then you would hit the close button here at the top right. All right, starting at the top, this is your name and your account. Again, you can click here at any time to go back to your general account info. You got the little question mark icon. So you can get to chat, which will get to our support team. So you can just chat as you have questions. You can go here. This will take you to a new tab to the support pages. So you can look up, guides we have written up, etc. Got the online store here, so you can order a VoIP phone or a router or accessories for your VoIP phones. And then the web phone, this one is here because I added a web phone to my specific user. So the first time you log in, you're only going to have the three options. But once you add a web phone, you'll have this fourth option show up as well. And also for migrated customers, you'll actually have the web phone because going forward, they're going to be adding web phones just as a default, so there's no charge for that. We got the little hamburger icon here, which I'm not seeing all my normal options. I'm not sure why. But this is how you navigate to some other features on Dash. Over here on the left, we've got the major features of Dash. Basically, these are typically included items, and we'll be navigating through all of these. And then here in the middle, total users. So these are all your people on your account, right? Your staff members who are making and receiving calls. Total devices is 52. And then we have that breakdown. So cell phone, pretty self-explanatory. The web phone, which I've already alluded to, this is technically a version of a soft phone, so a software application to make and receive calls using your internet connection. The web phone specifically makes use of Chrome or Firefox on a desktop or laptop computer, and they can receive calls right there from your browser. You may have problems if you use a mobile version of Chrome or Firefox, like on your phone, for example. I have gotten the web phone to work on my Android phone, but we've had customers have problems with iOS. And I don't know how much we've looked at tablets for the web phone. At least I haven't really looked at it. Next up is soft phone. Again, software application. Uses your internet connection to make and receive calls. Typically on a computer, can be on a tablet, and these days, because smartphones are basically mini computers, you can also use it on your smartphone. This can be for like a program like Xlite from Counterpath. We have our own soft phone app, which you can also use. SIP phone. This is a VoIP phone, right? So voice over internet protocol, which is what the web phone and soft phone are technically as well. SIP is in this particular case, it's actually a physical hardware phone. So it sits on your desk, and you make and receive calls from it. Now, SIP is a subtype of VoIP phone, right? So VoIP phones is a general category of product, and there are subtypes. So if you go into, say, like a Best Buy to go buy a VoIP phone, if you want to use it with us, you want to make sure it says it's SIP compliant or compatible. There are other types of VoIP phones on the market. And landline, pretty self-explanatory. Unregistered, that's 15. That's in relation to any of the VoIP devices, so the soft phone, the web phone, or the SIP phone. And the system is saying, hey, 15 of these devices aren't connected, right? We can't send calls to them or get calls from them. That could be anything that, someone lost power, or their internet went out, or they're having some sort of internal network problem. All right, total numbers. This refers to phone numbers on the account. Your account will include phone numbers as part of your plan, anywhere from like 1 to 15 phone numbers as part of your plan price. So obviously on this account, I am paying for these extra phone numbers. By default, extra phone numbers are $4.99 per month per phone number. But again, your plan will include at least a couple phone or anywhere from 1 to 15 numbers as part of your plan price. So as long as you're under that threshold, you don't have to worry about being charged extra. All right, then we have a breakdown: assigned numbers and spare numbers. An assigned number means it's being used, right? It's going someplace on your account, whether that's going to Bob, your salesperson, or it's going to your receptionist ring group. It could be your fax box number. It could be one of your main numbers, etc. Right. Spare numbers means number on your account. So if you're over your allotment, you would be charged for them. They don't ring anywhere, right? You're saving them for future use, whether that's for a holiday advertising campaign that's coming up, or from just, hey, it was a nice looking number, I liked it, and I don't know what I'm going to use with it yet, and anything in between. The other breakdown here is USDID and US toll-free. Right? So toll-free, 800 number, right? 888-877, all the way down to 833 currently. USDID, that just means a local number, right? So a number specific to, say, San Jose, California, versus, say, Des Moines, Iowa. You can have international numbers. If you're interested in international numbers, you're going to want to email porting@virtualpbx.com. They'll need to know the city and country that you want a phone number for. If there's additional requirements, the porting will let you know. Like Germany, for example, requires proof of presence within the city that you're requesting a number in. That's usually like a utility bill. And I can believe the UK, they don't care. They say, okay, here's your number. So it just depends on a country per country basis. The conference bridges, 6, that's just saying you've enabled conferencing on 6 of your users. Right, so 6 people can host a conference. Over here to the right, we've got your main numbers. So all these numbers are going to behave in the same fashion, meaning they're all going to have the same initial routing. And if you have a greeting assigned, they're all going to play the same greeting. Okay, down below, got your conference number. Again, this is what everyone would access to get to one of those 6 conference bridges, including your staff. You can have multiple conference numbers if you want. Below that, we've got, next up is our fax box number. So this is so you can receive faxes. You can have one fax box number by default. This also enables faxing on the system as a whole. The company directory is a download link. This basically just downloads a text file, so you can see all your users' extensions. Right, you can send that out to everybody so they have it handily. The soft phone directory, this is actually pretty new. If you download this, this works with our desktop soft phone app. Basically, you download the file, then you upload it to the soft phone app, and then you can see everyone's soft phone and if they're available, like if they're available to take the call or if they're already on a call. Also, you can just then click on them and call them directly from your soft phone. All right, store discount code. Just for being a Dash customer, you get a discount on anything you buy through our web store. And then we've got the account realm. This is used in a couple different things. First, it's used for programming either the soft phone application that's not from VirtualPBX, right? So X-Lite that I mentioned earlier, or any other soft phone not from us. You can also use it to program a VoIP phone that is not under the auto provisionable list, which we're going to get to shortly. And then lastly, it's used for sending out a fax. So on Dash, faxing out is email to fax. So you add a fax box number, and then you have to edit your fax box, which we're going to get to shortly. But you create an email. In the email, in the to field, it's +1, then area code and phone number of the fax number you're sending the fax to, right, the destination, little @ symbol, and then your account realm. And then you simply attach a PDF or TIFF to that email. That's all you need. You just need the system only faxes out one attachment. It doesn't read anything within the email, just the attachment. Right, up here, we got the caller ID. It's going to select any of your main numbers. Now, unfortunately, my streaming software doesn't always show my pull downs, which is unfortunate. But you can choose any of your numbers that you've assigned as a main number here. Now, then we've got your company caller ID name, referred to as CNAME within the industry. This lets you put in text for your outbound caller ID to show up, so to show your company name, right, in addition to the phone number. Now, this field is restricted to 15 characters, including spaces and special characters. It's an industry standard. So once you click Save Changes, that information gets transmitted to the other carriers who support CNAME. They'll update their servers, and that can take up to 3 business days for all of them to get updated. A couple things to be aware of. Not every carrier that I call routes through supports CNAME. Right? That's their own individual business decision. They decide to support it or not. So if your call happens to route through one of them, their CNAME information will not get shown up on your destination phone number. And even for the carriers who do support it, it's a low priority, right? Telecom first priority, connect the call, right? And then the caller ID. And way behind in third place is the CNAME information. So if they have heavier than expected call volume, say during election season, for example, CNAME information may not go through. Obviously, if a carrier is having some sort of maintenance or outage, you mostly just want the call to get through. All right, next up we have the company emergency, or E911. address or information. So this is typically the address associated with your particular main number, right? So like one of your company headquarters, for example. And that's the default emergency address for if anyone picks up a VoIP phone and dials 911. You can't set that per device or even by phone number. So any changes here you make, you just click on Save Changes. All right. Next up, we got hold music. So on Dash, hold music is defined as after an inbound caller has reached a staff member and they've picked up the phone and then they press hold on their phone. That's when hold music plays. So basically what you can do here is you're setting up a hold music file for all of your staff all at once. There's a default file in place, or you can upload your own. Dash accepts .wav, .wav, and .mp3 files. You want to make sure they're recorded in mono, not in stereo, and currently they're limited to 1 megabyte in size. So like a 1 megabit MP3 is roughly 5 minutes long. But you would simply browse on your computer. You would find the relevant document or file, and then click this little upload icon, and then click on Save Changes. Now, hours is actually takes you to a subsection of the main number, so I'm just going to go to the main number section itself. All right. So, main company number. You see I have several numbers to choose from. Now, if I choose unassigned, that means I'm not going to use it as a main number any longer. So we can get rid of, say, this 866 number. When I do that, it just moves that number to my spare numbers section, which is our next major section. But it's still on your account. You haven't removed it from your account at this point. Now, for instance, if you actually want to add numbers to your main numbers, you have a couple options. You can add for your spare numbers, right? And they'll bring up a little pop-up here with, hey, you got these numbers here available. You can choose one of them. Or you can buy a new one, right? So local or toll-free. Toll-free, pretty easy. You just select the toll-free prefix you want. It'll display the numbers, and then you can click Add it to my cart, and then you click Buy Numbers, and then it'll add it to your account. And in this case, it'll add it directly into your main numbers. Now, for local numbers, instead, you would enter in an area code. Let's see if there's anything in 323. And there are. And again, similar, aspect. You add it to the account, then your little cart here, and then you click Buy Numbers. So when you click Buy Numbers, right, the system first verifies that yes, the number was still available. It's the dynamic list. And it says, hey, we've added it to your account. And then you can see here, it's available. Now, I'm not sure why I have extra gear icons here. Little gear icons allow you to set the caller ID information for each phone number. Right, so we open that up. I can put in the CNAME information. I can also turn on the inbound caller ID name for calls that come into that number. All right, you can set the E91 for each number. There's also prepend, which works is a VoIP phone feature. It allows you to put text in front of the caller ID so that when calls come into your staff members on the VoIP phones, they'll have that text show up on part of the caller ID so they know, oh, this is a call from our LA number versus our Las Vegas number, that sort of thing, or whatever you want to put in there. All right, next we got your office hours strategy. So by default for new signups, you're on 24-hour open office, i.e. your system's ready to take calls. Most people choose to go custom. For each day of the week you're open, you put a check mark. And then you put your open hours here in these boxes to the right under in 24-hour or military time. And then you also have this option here at the very bottom, which means if your whole facility is closed for lunch, you can put a check mark there and then enter your lunch hours. And then you would click on Save Changes. Office holidays, first you put a check mark if you're going to be closed for holidays. Then you click Add Holiday, and then you've got your choice of single day, date range, or advanced. Right? So single day, pretty easy, just like I have here for President's Day. You give it a name, then you select the month and the date. Right? Date range, like I have up here for Christmas. Again, you give it a name, you select the start date and the end date, and the system, when those dates roll around, the system puts you in holiday mode. Advanced, it's like I have here for this retreat example, and I just said, hey, the first Friday in July, we're on holiday, right? So it's just our annual company retreat. Just boom, close down on that Friday, and the system just handles it from there. Now, one caveat for the date range is towards the end of the year, right? So New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, you do not want to have together in a date range because there's no year indicator here. The system just treats you as closed all year. So for those two specific days, you want to do a single day for New Year's Eve and then a single day for New Year's Day. And then again, any changes, click on Save Changes. Next, we go to incoming call handling. So this is how your main numbers are dealing with calls that come into them. Right, so this is the meat and potatoes of this section. Notice here we've got an open hours tab. We also have an after hours tab and a holidays tab. If I had left the check mark there for lunch hours, I'd also have a lunch hours tab. Right, so you can set each of these up individually. But they all have the same basic options. So first option, call comes in, goes to the virtual receptionist. If you click on the virtual receptionist, it's a link, and here you go. On the left, you've got your main menu, right? This is what people press on their phones to navigate through your phone system. You click on Add Route, and that allows you to create a new menu option. Unfortunately, the pull-downs aren't working again on the streaming software. But basically, you can choose 0 through 9, and then you choose the location. Now, I'll go up here because it actually will show it here. So you got the Smart Directory. You can go to a specific person, right? So one of your users. I scroll down here. Now this account has queues, so I can also use a menu option to go to a call queue. Just so you know, queues are a feature that they have additional costs associated with them. Standard ACD queues are, I believe it's either $15 or $30 per month per queue. We also have ACD Queues Pro, which the last time I checked the pricing, it was $99 per queue per month. If you're interested in those, I do strongly suggest you talk to our account services team, and they can make sure you're getting the right one, and they can also verify the pricing. You can set it to a specific device, right? So I can set it to the Taylor cell phone if I wanted to. Scroll down. I can set it to a media file, meaning I can make it play a greeting of some sort, saying, you know, hey, here are hours of operation. Now, downside for the media file is once the media file stops, the call will end. There can be an advanced configuration where you can have it call route back to your auto attendant afterwards. Sometimes that advanced configuration does require a fee, so that's something to be aware of. Groups, shorthand for ring groups, right? So this is like a department, right? Group of people who answer calls related to a similar topic, or they have a similar role. Right? ACD queues are an advanced version of groups, which is why they have the main DISA. So DISA is a feature. It's new. It's basically, it's not out of the box available. It's something you have to request just because our loss prevention people are concerned about potential abuse of this feature. But basically what this does allows you to call in from, say, a cell phone or landline. You can then enter in an extension or a menu option, and then you can enter in a PIN number. After that, you get dial tone again, so then you can make an outbound call from your cell phone or landline, but using your system to make that call. Obviously, if someone figures out your PIN, they can start calling all over the place, and you're on the hook for it, which is why our loss prevention people are a little bit concerned about it. And then you can also send people directly to a voicemail box, right? So leave a message. So in this case, pressing option 1, I'm sending it to John. Pressing 2 takes me to David's voicemail box. 3 goes to my smart directory. 4 is going to Bob. And actually, let's change Bob. So if I change Bob to a Q, for example, it changes the little icon to be a little headset. And then I can send it to device, right? Shows little phone. I don't know if it changes it. No. Media file. It's just blank. And then support shows you 3 little people. So you have little icons that you can kind of say, oh, it's going to a person versus a group. Quickly. All right. Over here on the right, greetings, text to speech. You type it, you click update, you'll click save and then save changes. Click computerized robotic voice. It's a good placeholder until you figure out what exactly you want your greeting to be and all your routes to be. You can upload your own file. Again, you choose file, find the file on your computer. Again, system accepts .wav, .mp3, recorded in mono under 1 megabyte. You can choose from a recording that you've already uploaded or added to the system in some manner. You can record it over the phone. By default, Dash is expecting you to record with one of your weight phones that are on the account. If you want to record from, say, a cell phone or a landline, you're going to need to send in an email to support@virtualpbx.com, and you want to state that I want to record my main greeting from an outside line. Our support team will then enable that for you. You can then call in, record a greeting, and you'll want to let us know, so then we'll turn that back off. Because again, you don't want someone to figure out the PIN number randomly and then changing your greeting on you. Now, in terms of the process of this is you call your main number. And if you've just signed up, basically you want to enter the PIN right away, and the system will prompt you or walk you through recording the greeting over the phone. Now, if you already have a greeting in place, right, you have greeting A is playing, so you're like, oh, we need to change it because, new product change or product launch, what have you. Well, if you call in, right, the greeting plays, you can enter in the PIN number, and the system will walk you through recording the greeting. Just keep in mind is since you already have a greeting selected, the content of that greeting is going to change to whatever you record on that call-in attempt, right? So file name greeting A, the file name stays the same. It's just the content changes when you call in to that already selected file. All right, and then lastly, we've got the professional recording services. So we've partnered with another company called Snap Recordings. When you click the little order button there, it'll take you to their website. They have like 100 voice actors to choose from, both men and women. They have different versions of English. Right? So you have UK English or Australian English versus US English. I believe they have different versions of Spanish and French as well, so you can do multilingual readings. They have what they refer to as hold treatment, which is a music file plus and then the script, the music and script. They do their own billing, right? They basically ask you for credit card information. They deliver it to you typically via email, as far as I know, so then you can just upload the file. All right, then we got setting, a number of retries on this dial. Basically, someone calls in. I have it set up too, I believe here. So someone calls in, and for whatever reason, they keep pressing 7. Well, I don't have a valid option here for 7. So after that second attempt, right, so I have this default route now. So after that second attempt, they're going to be sent to my smart directory. A lot of customers actually have their default route, if they have one, go to a voicemail. So the downside of having the default route is because of robodialers, right? They'll come in, they'll hear a greeting a couple times, and then they'll get to the default route. Well, all of that greeting replay, and especially if they get to voicemail, it does take minutes off of your potential plan. So if you remove the default route, after that second retry, the system says we didn't hear a valid entry and says goodbye and ends the call. Right? So now for your actual customers, right? So people who are calling in, they're going to hit a menu option, right? Or an extension. Because they're like, no, I need to speak to someone. Right? Robodialers, they can't do that. So they'll sit there, get the second reply, and then they call in. Now, any changes you make between the main menu, the greeting of the settings, you click Save here. And then you want to click Save Changes here. And that way all your changes get properly updated. All right, section of the second option. Sorry, I'm having trouble talking today. Call comes in. I'm offering it to Bob here. If Bob's not able to pick up, it goes to the virtual receptionist. Now, since I'm on the open hours, right, it's the same virtual receptionist that we were just looking at. Again, you still have other options, right? You can choose who you're putting it to. I can send it to ring groups, for example, queues. You can have a media file, devices, etc. The main point of this is you're giving a staff member or multiple staff members, in the cases of groups and queues, an opportunity to answer the call first. If they're not able to, then the caller goes to the virtual receptionist so they can hit a menu option or an extension. All right, third option, call come in. Again, you're offering it to a staff member or multiple staff members. If they're not able to pick up though, then it goes to a voicemail box of your choosing. You can also have the option here of just either I'm getting cut off or all right, yeah, so send it to a particular voicemail box. Sorry. And then the last option here, call comes in and you're sending it to your main DISA, right? So the DISA stands for Direct Inward System Access. So again, call in. The idea is you're entering a PIN number, an extension and a PIN number, and then you're making an outbound call. Typically used very often. I'm guessing this is our most common use. Now, your after hours and your holidays, right? They have the same options. Just bear in mind that the virtual receptionist is different for each one. So you can have a different set of menu options or selections. And in fact, I could choose like during after hours, I just wanted to bring my on-call person here. If they're not able to pick up, go to the voicemail box. Again, any changes, click on Save Changes. All right, main conference number. Again, you can add additional conference numbers if you wish. The custom greeting is a text-to-speech. Type in what you want to say, and then click Save. And once you add a main conference number, that's when you can enable the conference feature on your users. You have to add the conference feature number first. Right. Main fax box number, again, you can have the one phone number. Now, once you've added a number, if you click Edit Fax Box, you'll get two fields that you can enter. Now, this is a test account, so unfortunately the fax box doesn't work properly here. But on your account, you'll see on the first field, that's the who's getting the fax notifications, right? So you put in an email address, that email address gets the inbound faxes. Typically it's an email saying, hey, you got a fax, and here's the PDF attachment. The second field is for who you're allowing to send faxes out. Typically used for example, if you have your own email domain, right? So you have abccleaners.com. If you own that domain, every one of your staff members has an email address that ends that way. You can simply put your domain there in that second field, click Save, and anyone on your company then can send a fax out. They don't need to be a user on Dash to send a fax out at that point, right? They just have to have the correct format, which is that in the two field +1, area code and phone number, @ symbol, and the account realm. All right, numbers shows all your numbers on the account, and I'm on the numbers in these. Now these ones in red were porting attempts that haven't gone through, and then the rest are showing you where they're going. Again, you got the little gear icon, so you can adjust the caller ID and the E911, etc. Spare numbers, these are numbers you're not using. And if you want to get rid of the numbers, right, because like, hey, my bill's getting too high, you can click on the little box in front of it. There we go. Now you got the option to delete. Says, are you sure? Process says, hey, we successfully deleted the number. You click continue, and my list has shrunk by 1. Again, you can always buy numbers here. Now, when you buy numbers under spare numbers, it just puts them in the spare numbers field, and then you can assign them later to where you need them to go. Port is meaning you're moving a number to VirtualPBX, right? So say from AT&T to VirtualPBX. When you click on this, it'll start the port process. It'll walk you through what you want to do. Basically, you give it a name, local or toll-free, click next, and then it's going to start. It'll ask you for uploading a copy of your bill. It will give you an opportunity to download a blank letter of agency, or LOA, and then you can upload a completed one to the system. And then you click, eventually, gives you some warnings about like, hey, you need to keep your account open with the current carrier and with VirtualPBX, right? Both sides need to be open for the port to complete. Sort of these kind of caveats to be aware of. And then you click submit. That sends it to our porting team, and they process the port request. Now, if for some reason it doesn't go through, like your uploads don't complete, or you didn't get confirmation that the submission went all the way through, you can just email porting@virtualpbx.com with your completed and signed LOA and your bill copy, and they'll still process the port request. On the LOA, right, it's going to ask you for your company information, right, company name and address. That information should match what is on your current carrier's information, or on their bill, typically. You can always call them to verify, hey, I'm going to port out my number. What do you have on file for this phone number? And they should be able to give that to you, and you make sure it's on the LOA. The LOA does need to be signed, whether that's a digital signature or you printed it out and someone actually physically signed it. Either way, you do not want to type it out where it says signature, because that will get rejected. If you're ever going to port a mobile number, right, it's on your cell phone, you're like, hey, this is my business number now. Let me move it over to VirtualPBX. Typically speaking, to port out a mobile number, we need a PIN number. It's an account PIN number. You'd have to contact your cell phone carrier to get that PIN number from them. It's usually 4 to 8 digits long. And just be aware that once the port completes, the cell phone that phone number had been associated with will no longer work until you get a new cell phone number from your cell carrier. Right? Because the phone number is no longer attached to that SIM card, it's instead attached to your Dash account. All right, users. Shows all your users on your account. You click Add User up here at the top to add a new user. You enter in their first and last name right here, and then you go to the email used for login. That email needs to be unique for each user. Right? So if you have like a group of people who use like support@virtualpbx.com as their email address, well, only one of them can be a user using support at virtualpbx.com. The other 3 people would need their own different emails to log in with. Password, you create the password, and then the main extension number, right? The default extension for the extension, or for the user, excuse me. Now, on this account, I started off with extension 1000, so the system's telling me the next available one in that series is 1015. I can change that, right? I can make it, 1210 if I wanted to, just to like skip over people. I can make it 3422, right? Just like, no, here's this completely different department, and I want to have a separate extension series for this group of people. All right, then you got these options here. So by default, create a voicemail box for the user. That voicemail box is intrinsically tied to the user. So like if you delete a user's voicemail box and try to recreate it, it's not going to work quite the same way as previously. Just be aware of that. You have the option here to include in the company directory. Again, you can change that choice later if you want to. You can send emails to an alternate address, right? So like their personal email address. Just so you know, this will supersede sending any emails to this address up here for login, right? So by default, the system uses the email, the login email address to send messages to. If you click this, send to alternate, the alternate address will supersede. And then the fourth one, which I think you should always check, is send credentials to the user. So that way the person who you just created as a user gets their login information. All right, so then you click on Create User if you're done with, because you only need to add one person. If you need to add more, you click Create User and add another. Once you've created a user, you can click on their name. You can change their name, right? If like someone got married, or they went through the process of changing their name legally. You can change their credentials, meaning you can change the email address used or their password. As an admin, you can also click there to send the password reset email to the user directly, right? So Bob keeps forgetting his password. I'm like, here, Bob, reset a password, make it something you can remember. And hopefully you can remember from that point on. Right, and then you click Save Changes. Voicemail box PIN. Now, if your staff members are going to be using VoIP phones, you don't need to set a PIN number for each voicemail box. Because what they can do from their VoIP phone that's associated with their user, they can pick up that VoIP phone and hit *98. That's the voicemail login. And then the system will prompt them to create a PIN number as well as record their greeting for their voicemail. Now, if your staff members are using cell phones or landlines, you do need to create a PIN number for them. Right. Again, you got the option here to send to alternate address, and then you can include in the user directory or not. Over here, this is a pull down. It allows you to change a user to be an admin or vice versa. This is the time zone for the account, or for the user, for the user. Language, French, English, German, or Russian. That pull down doesn't work. Ringing timeout. So default ringing timeout on a new user is 20 seconds. What this is how much time we try to send a call to that person and their devices, right? So in this case, it's set to 45 seconds on Bob, meaning someone calls in, hits Bob's extension, the system will try to reach his devices for 45 seconds. If he doesn't doesn't pick up, then it would go to his voicemail box. And then you got the main extension number. Right. So you notice Bob was just a user. And how I know that is because he has a little gray person icon. People with the little blue suit, those are your admins. If you click on the extension box, you can add multiple extensions to a user. If people need multiple extensions, the one example I actually thought was really a good use of it is in our head of our sales team. If we lose a salesperson for whatever reason, he takes over their extension. So that way, if anyone calls in, he can handle the call, or at least he'll be able to get the voicemails and then hand it out to the remaining sales staff, so potential sales aren't missed. Right. Phone numbers, you can add either from spare or by numbers to a particular user, right? So this phone number goes straight to Bob, right? They don't have to go through the virtual receptionist or anything. You got the devices box, so you can see you can have multiple devices, and then you've got the option to add a device. So we'll start with SIP phone. Again, this is a physical VoIP phone, sits on your desk. You can choose from one of these manufacturers, and then you find your model of phone. And then at the bottom here, you enter in a device name, right? So Bob's phone, for example, or like Bob's Cisco, if you want to do that. And then you enter in the MAC address of the phone. Every phone has a MAC address, typically a sticker on the back, can be on the box that the phone came in, and they typically also have a way to find the MAC address through the menu, like on those general settings, I believe, for most phones. And then you click on Create Device. And then you would click Save Changes. So what that does is, in terms of your dashboard here, you're done. You do need to log into the phone's web user interface. You need to enter in a URL in the auto provisioning section. That tells the phone, hey, get on the internet, go here. Phone goes to that URL. The server says, hey, what's your MAC address? That information is transferred. Says, oh, I know A, what kind of phone you are, and B, what account you're associated with. Here's your config file. Your phone will reboot a couple times, and then it'll be connected. It should be then connected. You can make and receive calls from. And we have the instructions and like screenshots on our support pages. Also, VirtualPBX.com. Also, for support, select -support, and then you want to go for this auto provisioning phones, and we'll have the URL you need to add, as well as screenshots from most of the manufacturers. All right. Cell phone and landline are the same, essentially, just labeled differently. But again, you give it a name, and then you put +1 area code and phone number of the device, right? So you put your cell phone number, you put +1 and your cell phone number here. And then you click on Create Device, and then Save Changes. All right, so this is the default setup for a cell phone or a landline. So what happens is when Dash sends a call to, say, a cell phone or landline, what happens is, A, your phone will ring, you pick up. You will hear a message from the system saying, this is a forwarded call, please press 1. When you press 1, you're telling the system, yes, you are there, and yes, you want to take this call. It will then connect the inbound caller to you. Now, that's not the only way people make use of adding a cell phone or landline. Say, for instance, you make use of an automated answering service, right? So for like your after hours, for example. So you would add it as a cell phone or landline, but what you would do is you put a check mark here for allow use of cell phone voicemail. What that does is you no longer have to press 1 to accept the call, right? Because your automated answering service can't do that. So we hear the pickup tone and we connect the call, and then your automated answering service takes over at that point. In the case of an actual cell phone or landline, if you have this checked, if your cell phone voicemail picks up, again, we treat that like a connected call, so that inbound caller ends up on your cell phone's voicemail. Some people love it, some people don't. Right. Next is keep original caller ID. What that means is the phone number that shows up on your cell phone display will be that person's phone number that's calling you, right? So, say Cousin Mary is calling you, you see Cousin Mary's phone number show up on your cell phone. Now, if you uncheck it, right, what happens is on your phone, it'll be one of your VirtualPBX phone numbers, right? So like your main number or the number on your user. So it's a way to let you know, oh, this is a work call versus random telemarketer. All right, soft phone, kind of alluded to this already. Software application, originally just ran on computers and laptops. Nowadays, works on, they work on tablets and smartphones. Anyway, you got this little warning message basically saying, hey, just be aware since you move around that the E911 information may not be accurate or might be sent to the wrong place, I guess. All right. So by default, when you add a soft phone, the system's treating you like you're adding a third-party soft phone, right? So you're outing you're going to make use of XLite from Counterpath, for example, or your physical VoIP phone that you had the model number didn't show up on the auto provision list, right? Because they're under the manufacturer, like you didn't find your specific model number. So you would give it a name, and then you would use the SIP username, the SIP password, and then this account realm to program your device or your application. Right? You will need those three pieces of information to basically allow that software or that phone to connect to VirtualPBX. Right? And then you would click on Create Device and save changes. And then hopefully your third-party device will work. Now, if you want to make use of the VirtualPBX soft phone app, what you do instead, right here down here where it says Use Third-Party Application, you click on this, it flips it. So now it says, hey, you're using the VirtualPBX application. You give it a device name, so like Bob's soft phone. You click Create Device, and then you would click Save Changes. Now, since you added it right here on the user, what happens is when you click Save Changes, right? I'm thinking, who am I on? David. So David will get an email saying, hey, your new soft phone's ready. Here's your username. Here's your password. Now you can download the app, right? Now, if David's just going to use it on his Android or iPhone, again, he goes to the App Store. He looks for VPBX phone, downloads it. He uses that username and password. He's logged in. He's good to go. If you want to use a desktop version of the app, that does require a license fee. I believe the list price is, I believe, $39.99, although I think we've had a sale on it every now and then. So you would want to order that through the web store. Again, you'll get an email with the download links, and then download the app. And then after you create it, you use those login credentials on the desktop version. Oh, and then let's do web phone. Web phone, again, type of soft phone. The VirtualPBX soft phone and the web phone, you always want to add on the user specifically. So that way, for the cell phone, you make sure you get the email with the credentials. And for the web phone, it's because you put in a device name, you click on Create Device, and then Save Changes. The web phone makes use of your Dash login information. Right? So the web phone, the URL for that is webphone.virtualpbx.net, and they'll have a login page. Asks for your username, password, and account name. That information is the exact same that you use on your Dash login. So you log in, you can make a receive call right from your browser. All right, user features. All right, caller ID number. This only applies to a user that you've assigned a phone number to. when you click on it, you enable it, and then basically what you're doing is saying, hey, when this person makes an outbound call, use their personal phone number on the account as the caller ID instead of the main number. And then you click on Save Changes. Call forwarding. So you've got off, on, or failover mode. Off means you're not using it. On means you are, meaning, hey, the user's going to forward calls from their normal phone to a backup phone, right? A phone they don't use very often for work. And then failover is for your VoIP phone users, right? When the system detects that the phone is not registered, but a call happens to come into that user at that time, the system will automatically send it to their forwarding device. Now, the forwarding device should not be a device already on the user, right? So, again, for call forwarding, it's to send to a phone that's not on the account. Easiest way to do it. Now, call forwarding, your users can set this up themselves. You don't have to do it for them every time, right? Through the user portal is where most of your users will probably set this up. If you have VoIP phone users, they can actually set it up from their VoIP phone. It's one of the feature codes that we'll get to. All right, hot desking. This is a VoIP phone-based feature. If you enable it, you make a hot desk ID number for the user. Up to you if you want to include a PIN number. And what this is for an instance where you're in a shared office environment where people may be switching desks from day to day, right? Basically, you come in and you find the first available desk, you sit your butt in, and you say, okay, I need to work, right? You log into the computer, you're like, and I need to make sure I get calls to me. There's a VoIP phone there. You pick up the VoIP phone, you hit *11, right? Feature code turns on hot desking on the phone. Then the system will ask you for your hot desk ID, and if you, as an admin, if you require an admin, it'll ask them for the PIN number. Then the system says that calls will now be sent to this phone, right? So basically, I sit down, and calls are coming to me at my phone, and I happen to be sitting at desk number 7. At the end of my day, I pick up the phone again, I hit *12 to turn off hot desking, so that way the next person on shift comes in, they can enter in their own hot desk ID, etc. Tomorrow when I come in, desk 7 is already taken. Whatever. But I see over there, desk 32 is open, so I go ahead, sit down. Same thing, I hit *11, hit the hot desk ID. Now my calls are coming to me at the desk I'm sitting in. Voicemail box, it's enabled. Every user should have. Fax box, so you can set up users to have their own fax box. Right, so basically fax comes specifically to them versus the general fax box on the main page. You can select a spare number, a new number, or you can find an extension. Now, in general, I recommend making use of a phone number because most people are used to just entering a fax number, hit send fax, and they walk away from the fax machine. If you use the extension number, what you're saying is the inbound person that's faxing, right? They have to call one of the main numbers. They hear the greeting, then they enter the extension number, then they hit send fax. And some people just may not think to do that. And then you would click on Save Changes. Conference Bridge. Basically, it's enabled. It's saying, hey, your conference room number, this is the phone number. This is what you would tell the other people, your participants. Hey, call this number. This is the room number you're looking for. Enter conference room 1000, and then the conference room PIN number. All right, that's the information that you would send to the participant. All right, follow me is for users with multiple devices. In fact, here, let's, oh, sorry. There we go. So by default, when you enable it, this is what it looks like. Right? All your devices say do not ring. System doesn't know how you want to handle it. So up here, that's your default ring time for multiple devices. It's 120 seconds. For each device, you decide which ones are you going to allow it to view. So you uncheck, maybe, possibly. All right, yeah, so you uncheck the devices you want it to use. Now, right now, they're all at a 0 seconds, meaning you might hear it ring. This is a slider, though, so you can adjust it, say, to the whole 120. Right, basically say, hey, ring my all devices at the same time. Whichever one I answer it at is the one I answer it at. You also have this button up here, distribute. So now I can ring the devices in order. And if I don't like this order, I can click and drag. There you go. Devices that I want, and then I can hit distribute again, and now it's ringing in that order. And then you click on Save Changes. All right, music on hold. Whoa. Oops. All right, music on hold. There we go. All right, so you can set up individual music on hold for your users. Right, so this will supersede the music on hold that we set up on the dashboard page. But again, same options, right? So takes .wave.mp3, recorded in mono, under 1 megabyte, find the file, you click the little upload icon, and then click on Save Changes. Customize call recording. So let's, all right, so when you enable it, this is what it looks like. You notice that account default is off, meaning I'm not still recording anything at this point. So inbound internal means coworker Bob gave me a call. Right? Inbound external means a customer gave a call. Let's say I want to record that. Right? Outbound internal means I'm calling Bob. And then outbound external means, hey, I'm calling a customer. So let's say I just want to record the customer facing calls. I can do that. Or if I want them all, I can do that. Really up to you. But no matter what you do, is click on Save Changes. And that way your recordings will be saved in the recording manager. And then do not disturb, meaning you know this person's unavailable for the day, so they can basically call to them would go to voicemail. All right, groups, shorthand for ring groups. Creating a group, pretty easy. You give it a name, you give it an extension number, and then you click and drag people over to be part of the group. And then you click on Create Group. Once you've created a group, you can click on the name, so you can always change the name. You've got dialing and repeats, little arrows here to the left, sorry, to the right. Basically, how many times that inbound caller can try to reach your group members. You also have the option to delete. If you click on the members box, this shows you the people you've put in the group and how they were being, in what order they're being offered calls. Up here, you've got your total ring duration. right? 120 seconds by default. And again, I've got this option to distribute, so I can put it in order. And like before, under Follow Me, I can click and drag people so I can change the order and redistribute again. And again, sliders, right? Oops. So you can adjust the ring times for individual users. Now, when you notice here, David, we had as a user, he has multiple devices. So when calls come into him, all his devices are going to ring. They're going to ignore the Follow Me calling rules for the user because it's a group call. Extension, right? Groups can have multiple extensions if you need them to. And that's the extension number is basically so other staff members can transfer calls to this group. Right? Groups can also have their own phone number. You can add it from spare or buy a new one. They can have multiple numbers as well. And basically meaning when you dial this number, it goes straight to the group. It doesn't go through the virtual reception. Right? Like that. And then we've got group features. All right, ringback allows you to upload a WAV or MP3 file recorded in mono under 1 megabyte. This will play until one of your staff members picks up, so hold treatment. The main caveat here is you want to make sure this file, the length of the file, meaning how long it plays, matches your ring duration that you have set under the members, right? So 120 is the default, so you want to make sure your ringback is at least 120 seconds because the system will not loop it for you. All right, next action, if you enable this, it says, if no one answers, what do you want the system to do with the call? And in this case, I'm sending it to the test voicemail. Now, you can send it to other users. You can send it to another group. You can send it to a queue. And you can also send it to a specific device, as well as back to your virtual reception. From what I've seen, the most common is someone's voicemail box. Say the name. All right. Next feature, allow call forward, is basically allowing your group members to make use of call forwarding, i.e. they're not going to be at their normal desk phone, send it, but they still want to take calls from the group. And then caller ID prepend, if you enable this. This is for your VoIP phone users. You can put either additional text or numbers in front of the caller ID, and this is to help your staff members identify the kind of call they're getting, right? So if you have a staff member in multiple groups, or wears many hats, this will give them a little bit of a heads up about what kind of call they're about to be dealing with. All right, devices. Again, shows all the devices on the account. Green means it's registered / connected. Red means it's not registered. And then black means you've disabled it. You can click on icons next to the little phone, the little wrench icon, so you can see the various features and some of the other options. You can add devices directly here, right? So phone, cell phone, soft phone, etc. Again, the only caveat is for the VirtualPBX soft phone and the web phone, you want to do that directly on the user page. All right, voicemail boxes. Again, it shows all the voicemail boxes on the account. Again, the user voicemail boxes have this other field filled in. You can create your own voicemail boxes by clicking up here, give it a name, voicemail box number, and a PIN number, and then create new voicemail box. And you would do this, for instance, for like your ring groups, right? You just created a group, you're like, oh, let's give it its own voicemail box. If you click on the little gear icon after you've created the voicemail box, again, you can always adjust this information. But under advanced, you can upload a media file to play as a voicemail greeting. Now, these options are on all your voicemail boxes. So up here, the media file, this is the default file that will play. Right? Again, you can upload .wav, .mp3 recorded in mono under 1 megabyte. The temporary file, this is for like, oh, Bob's going to be on vacation for this week. we can put in his vacation message, right? So if you have something selected in temporary, it will supersede what's under media. Once that Bob's vacation ends, I put this back to none, and then his normal media file will play. Not quite sure why the system is being so slow. All right. Recipients, again, for manually created, you can add additional email addresses here. This is especially important for the manually created ones because they don't have a default email address they're sending to, whereas your user voicemail box has that already in place. Didn't actually mean to do that. All right, and then options. So once you have the greeting media in place and the recipients, you want to put a check mark here in front of already set up. The other things that come up are down here at the bottom. Delete after notification. So by default, system emails the recipient, saying, hey, you have a voicemail, and includes attachment. Now, voicemail boxes are restricted to 100 messages, so I believe by default, delete after notification is always checked, meaning, hey, we sent the email with the voicemail, so we're deleting it, so that way we're not having to worry about full voicemail boxes. And then you have this one here, attached message to email. If you uncheck that, that means you just get an email saying, hey, you got a voicemail, but no attachment. So obviously, if you uncheck this one, you probably also want to uncheck that, right? So that way people can go in and check voicemail either by calling in on their phone or going through the user portal. All right, greetings is for the greetings manager. Shows you your greetings that you've uploaded or added to the account. All right, recording means you recorded it over the phone. TTS is text to speech, and then uploaded the file. You can download the file so you can listen to it. And then you got the little wrench icon here, so you can change the name or delete the file if it's no longer relevant. All right, call logs shows the call activity that's come into the system. Right, green arrow to the right means it's an inbound call. The orange arrow to the left means an outbound call. You can click on these calls to get some additional information, basically say where to go to and like what happened with the call. In this case, that user was busy. Normal clearing means that it ended the call normally. You can get technical details here. It's a little fire hydrant next to the top line of the call. This actually creates an email with the technical details, and then you can email support directly. I would just ask that if you do that, tell us your experience, right? So like say, hey, this says that I was off the call, but my phone didn't ring, right? Or I had horrible call quality, or just give us an idea of what was going on and why you're reporting the call. You've got other views. You can do custom date range. You can always download the call logs as well. Feature code. I've alluded to a couple of these already, but basically they're key shortcuts on your phone, on your VoIP phone, that you can use to access some of these other features, right? Like updating call forward. The check voicemail here, *97, you can actually do that from a cell phone or landline. Then I'll ask you for the extension number and then the PIN number. All right. Well, let's go to the user portal. So every user on the account has their own user portal, so they can check their voicemails if they don't have delete after notification. They can see their call history, any faxing that they've done, although this one's not set up. The contact list is only within the Dash account, right? So other users, the green groups, etc. You cannot upload or add your own contacts, right? So I couldn't add my mom's phone number in here or anything like that. Conference, right? Again, they can adjust their own moderator pin. They can adjust their own participant pin if they want to. Here they can invite other Dash members into their conference. They can lock a conference. They can mute everybody. They can unmute everybody. They can end the call. When you're actually within a conference, you can mute specific participants. You can also kick particular or specific participants as well. And then there's settings and devices. This is where they would set up their own call forwarding. All right, I click enabled, I put the phone number, I click on save. So now I have call forwarding, and they can also see the status of their devices. Admins, you can get to any fax logs on the account. So the outbound, and then you can also look at the email to fax logs to see if there's a reason why faxes weren't going through. You can also get to any voicemail box on the account. So that way, if one of your voicemail boxes has been being reported as full, you can check to see, oh, okay. And then, so if you actually had voicemails in these accounts, you would have the option to play back, download it, or save it, etc. Interesting. So typically there are other options here, like getting to ACD queues, etc. I'm not quite sure why they're not showing up on this account. So I would have to refer you to previous streams that we've recorded where I talk about the ACD queues, what else was on there? There's also the monitor, the reports. The reports are in beta. Oh, there's also webhooks, which makes, if you want to make use of APIs to link Dash to other software, that sort of thing, which it shouldn't be here. Again, this is a test account, so they might have, engineers might be working on something on the back end. At this point, I'll end the training unless anyone has any questions. I'll hang out in the chat to see if there are any. As I said, if you're interested in the queues, to look at last week's stream where I went over that since it was available. But if you don't have any questions and I covered everything you wanted, I thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day. All right, not seeing any questions come through, so I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. Again, thank you for your time today, and I hope you have a wonderful day.